Welcome everybody to Cultivating Conversations. It's your host here, Farmer Jazz, and today we got an amazing guest, Nurse Blue. She's always bringing the vibes and the frequencies, and every time I listen to her on Clubhouse, she's always jamming to some good music and also sharing some great information. How you doing today, Miss Nurse Blue?
I am doing so good, Farmer Jazz. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast, Cultivating Conversations, and hello to your audience out there. And can I share what Blue stands for so people can
Yes,
understand?
please do.
So, Nurse Blue, Blue stands for build, love, unite, and empower people about my favorite subject, and hopefully soon to be yours by the end of this podcast. It's soul health. So that's what that's all about.
Definitely looking forward to it. So, first, let's kick things off with introducing yourself and letting the listeners know who you are and your story.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, I'm known as Nurse Blue, and I am a registered nurse, but I am a soul health and wellness expert and a musicologist. And so, what I do is I help people to defeat chronic stress because it's our number one killer here on planet Earth. Farmer Jazz. So, the most that many of us have been taught about how to deal with chronic stress is how to cope with it or how to manage it, right? And with it being the number one killer, I'm like, why are we coping with our killer? Why are we managing it? Let's defeat it, right? So,
Yes.
soul health is the area because that's how you defeat chronic stress. Because chronic stress actually how it all the reason why it's the number one killer is because it takes our souls out of alignment, right? So for those people who may not know this, we are spiritual beings and we're having a human experience, and as a spiritual being we all have a soul, and that soul is made up of three parts: the subconscious mind, the emotional body, and our will. And when those three parts of our soul are in alignment, we're living our best life. And when it's out of alignment, well, that means we have dis-ease in the soul, and dis-ease in the soul can manifest as disease in the body. And so, a lot of times people may have these health challenges, and we are treating the body for something that's originating in the soul. And that's why soul health is the solution. So you will find me on the solution side of things, helping people to reverse disease that may, be attributed to our number one killer, chronic stress, or to defeat chronic stress so it does not lead us to a disease state. So that's what I do in my work. And music is one of the modalities that I use as a tool to help people in through that process.
I like that. I like those shares. Music is definitely something for me that definitely keeps me inspired. I got a good friend, Ike, in college. He always was listening to good music, and we used to always just share playlists. And
Yeah.
music would get us through different types of things. Like, sometimes, like me, I'm an R&B guy. Like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
be listening to a bunch of R&B just because I like it. Kind of like mirrors like my personality, like calm, cool, loving person. And
Yeah.
then I also got an energetic side. So then I like those like loud beats and those trap beats and just all types of beats. It could be techno,
Yeah.
anything, just to keep me uplifted because I could feel the vibe of the music. It definitely keeps me going. But you have like an inspiring type of career path. Like you're healing people on the nurse side, but you're also taking it to another level with the music. Can you share with us how you find your way into this career path?
Well, that's an interesting story. That's an interesting story and a great question because um, actually it originated back growing up. My dad was a musicologist. Well, at that time, a musicologist would probably be referred to as a DJ. And we owned a radio station. My dad owned a radio station. So he was a radio entrepreneur back in the 60s in Chicago. And at that time, Chicago was um, a major city in the world of entertainment and R&B soul music. And so what he did and his contribution to music was he crowned Aretha the queen of soul, BB King the king of the blues, and he introduced a lot of artists at that time. They were, breaking into the music industry. Now we refer to these artists as legends, right? And
Yeah.
because, because of his love of music, I grew up watching a man take this beautiful art form, this tool that I said came from the Most High as a prescription for our soul, use it as a way to bring Chicago together, because my father was a radio promote also a music promoter. We had the radio station, and really at that time, Chicago was a city of both artists and activists, and music was really pretty much the mortar in between those bricks, right? So it was so much a part of our culture, and particularly for people of color. It's always been a part of our culture, and I would say culture all over the world. So, needless to say, as I share with people all the time, in terms of the soul, it's a medicinal, and music is used as a way to help inspire us, to ignite us, to bring out the fun and the best in us, and also to tell a story. And if you are on the other side, where you're on the creative side, we have seen artists throughout the years transmute or transform the pain into musical vibrations that can be used as healing modalities for the collective. And so I find music that is helps me live up to my name, blue, which is to build people, to love people, bring people back to our vibration of love, to unite us as a collective, and to empower us. And when you have music curated in that way, you're elevating our frequency, you're elevating the life within us. And that's what healing is. Healing truly is an elevated thought and an elevated emotion. And you can find both of those um, in a great song. So there are over 175 million songs, Farmer Jazz, and
Wow.
counting, at least I could say Alexa says there are 175 million songs. That was one of my questions for her. But
That's a
people are
good thing to
making
know.
right, but people are making songs every day, and and they're making songs to help someone in need. And sometimes, songs can be used to ignite us, and songs can certainly be used as a weapon against us. And we've seen that in music for the past 40 years, how music has declined and have been used as a way to um, mislead souls on the path, or been used as a weapon to keep people marginalized and limited in their thoughts, and keep stored energy. Like, when I say stored energy, I'm speaking of um, energetic frequencies like anger, um, or fear, or guilt or shame. Music has been used as a trigger to, help people process those emotions or ignite those emotions. So it all depends on who the person is that is creating that song, and who's going to be sharing that, how it's used. But in the way that I choose to use it, I'm using it to teach self love and to help defeat our number one enemy. And I believe in using it to help people release what does not serve them, so we can increase the vibrational frequency of of our souls, to help our bodies become whole and healed.
Yeah, that's a great share. That's a great share because I always say I can tell a lot about a person by the music that they take in, and the music
Hmm.
that they're consistently listening to. It's like I know their personality before. If you just give me a playlist of the songs you like to listen to, I can kind of get a vibe of the vibe
Right.
check of who you are. But you definitely sh- told us a lot about how you got into the music side and how you use music for healing. How did you get into nursing and and how did the story come about of you fusing those two of healing music and with conservative medicine that we use now in the hospitals, being a nurse, a registered nurse, and kind of finding a creative lane with music and adding to that?
Ooh, that was That's a great question. So, music has always been like my best friend, because even though I grew up around a lot of entertainment figures and I would say game changers, I also was a very lonely child, and music was like my best friend. And also, as I was growing up, Farmer Jazz, I went through a lot of bullying and a lot of difficult challenges where music was kind of used as a self-soothing modality to help me get through it. So how went on into the nursing area, I really was trying to run away from my family's business. I
We
when
do that.
when when I was growing up, I had this like overwhelming pressure by my father, who wanted each and every one of his children to have a role to play in radio of some sort. And the station had changed from a music station, what it was known for in its biggest days, back in the 60s and the 70s, um, to a talk station, right? And what child wants to listen to talk all the time? So my way of getting
Yeah.
away from talk was to grow deeper in my attachment to music, right? And so then later on, as I decided I don't want anything to do with radio or whatever, I always loved people. I said, well, let me go into uh, health and wellness, or at that time, let me go into the medical field. And so I went to school for nursing. I went to, Hampton University, graduated from Hampton University, in the field of nursing. But I did not go into nursing right away. I started working for my family's business because I didn't pass the boards the first time, right? And I was really, I was in a rock and a hard place. Number one, I was already making money working in my family's business. And after I didn't pass the boards, I was like, you know what? Let me just focus on what I'm doing right now. I took what I learned in nursing and started applying it to the business owners that I was working with when I was selling advertising and all of that. So for many years, I wasn't practicing. And then all of a sudden, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune deficiency that just kind of came out of nowhere, psoriasis. And I had a decision to make. Either I was going to be on a prescription drug for the rest of my life, which was the only option. And that's the option that many people face when you are diagnosed with autoimmune deficiencies. And I knew that I knew enough about nursing to know this: if you're on a drug for the rest of your life, chances are you might be signing up for some problems with your liver, your heart, or some of the other side effects that can come with that. And I did not want to sign up for it. So I started looking for natural modalities, holistic ways to start bringing my body back into a state of balance. And it took many years to kind of start putting all these pieces together. I knew it had to do with your diet. I later learned, had to deal with me processing soul toxins, which is really the work that I do, with, introducing people to high vibrational frequency. And the life behind that is identifying soul toxins. And that's when I realized that it was more psoriasis came about, in my opinion, from the imbalances that I was not aware of, the imbalanced diet that I had. I later learned that my blood type, I'm an A blood type, and my diet were in conflict, right? As an A blood type, I had been eating meat majority of my life, and I didn't realize that that is a conflict. So that I needed to start really focusing on high vibrational foods. And then I understood another thing, that there were some systems that I wasn't taught in nursing school, that are really good for the body, like the chakra system, the energy system. I didn't learn about the endocannabinoid system, which is a system that is so powerful that it modulates all of the other systems in the body. So I was like, oh my goodness, I only had half the information. So it led me into learning how music, the frequencies of music, scientific research has been proven over the years how certain frequencies help to heal the body. And so I just really moved along this path of taking the information that was shared with me growing up with my dad, all of my research, studying scientific research, being trained through wellness, where I just brought all of this together. And it's been so beautiful, Farmer Jazz, because in reaching mass amounts of people, the one thing that I believe that is a highly effective tool for bringing us together is music, you know? And being on Clubhouse and being able to give people experiences where they can come together with people from around the world and experience lifting their vibration out of fear, or, just relating to us on a level of oneness, is so powerful. So I would just say that it took me a long time to answer that question. My life path just prepared me along the way. And I'm just continuously and consistently listening to the voice within my soul and following where that voice is leading me to. And guess what? It led me to you today.
Thank you, thank you. And I really have enjoyed that share. There's a lot of sentiments in there that I definitely can relate to, like running away from the family business. I myself, went to school for engineering. My family's a union trade, builders, mechanics, handymen, and one thing I used to always hate as a kid, I'm like watching them like come home like beat up, and then working with them. I was a little apprentice, like working in the heat or working in a boiler room, getting all dirty.
Yes.
I'm like, I just want to be hanging with my friends. I don't want to be doing this. And then even when I got to college, I'm just like, even all the stuff I learned with my family is like, practice it. I got to do all this book stuff. Oh man, it's just like I don't want to do this. So I did the engineering thing for a little bit, but ultimately it led me to cultivating farming, indoor farming, collaborating what I did in the past, what I learned in the past from my family, the family trade, and then also collaborating with the things that I was learning and the things that I was passionate about. And
Yeah.
one of the things that you had mentioned was just about how some of your struggles have kind of been the refining fire to make you who you are, like
Oh,
where
yes.
the just all the experiences, just the struggles, the health issues, just kind of setting the way for where you're at now. And I want to know, has there been like a moment, a person, an event, like a mentor, or artist that has inspired you in some way in your health, the way about your approach to health, sorry, and your approach to using music for healing, or just your career path?
Yes, it has not been one person, it's been so many of them. I would say that I have my clients, I work with special needs kids, and I have a client who has cerebral palsy, whose mom was told, at birth, when they discovered that he had this condition, that he would only have a week to live. And now he's 9 years old, and time after time she was told, to prepare, that he would not be able to do this, or he would not be able to do that. And this young man is progressing so much because he has the environment to help him prosper. And what I mean by that, this is a young man who's actually, he's a twin, and he loves music, right? He loves music. And now he's at a point where he got like student of the year last year, not the month. He was student of the year for his
It's
class.
impressive. It's very impressive.
Impressive. He's singing, and he's eating by mouth, and he's progressing more and more and more, because there is an environment that is set up to build him, to love him, him to unite him to the world around him, and to empower him. And so that environment by itself, it's a learning and a healing environment, where I'm constantly seeing a miracle show up from week after week, month after month, because his family was told early on that he wasn't going to be able to achieve these milestones that I'm witnessing him achieve. And musicology is a huge part of his program, you know. Um, and I can say in my own life, I am really a different person than who I used to be. First of all, I will say I have very high energy, and I did not start out in that way. As a matter of fact, when my mother was pregnant with me, my mother, I I would say the vibrational frequency, just hearing her stories that my mother was resonating in was in shame. And that's the lowest frequency on the scale. And for those, for people who may not be familiar with what I'm talking about here, um, I would encourage you to check out. I have a new book out called "Freedom is a Frequency," and I'll give um, my website later. But I have a free gift for people to get your vibrational frequency scale, because Farmer Jazz, everybody needs to have a frequency scale the same way everyone may have a scale that you weigh yourself on, right? And the vibrational frequency scale, you're able to see what you're feeling in your emotional state, like shame or guilt or anger or fear or pride or what have you. And where you are at that scale pretty much determines, what's happening in your emotional state is important for how we're creating our life, because we create our life out of our thoughts and our emotions. And for most of my life, as I was mentioning, my mother lived in shame, right? Well, when she was carrying me, she was living in a vibrational state of shame, because as she was explained, she was ashamed that she was pregnant so late in life, right? So I was a 70s baby and my mother was having me at age 39. But she was like, she just felt that, that was an old, in society at that time,
Mhm.
that was a time when women were considered old for having kids, right? And so I never felt wanted. But I didn't realize that until I got much older, that that's where that I'm not enough, that unworthiness felt like. And I know there are a lot of women in particular and a lot of men that have struggled with feelings of not feeling like you're good enough, not feeling like you're worthy. Well, those are vibrational states. And when we find ourselves in those vibrational states, understand we're making decisions out of those states. If you're making a decision out of fear, chances are you're not making the best decision, more so than if you're making a decision out of joy, right? So later on in life, as I discovered that I was carrying so many frequencies, low vibrational frequencies, that came from those emotions of anger and fear and judgment. And also understand this, because we're energetic beings, and energy, the laws of energy, you can't be created nor destroyed, but it can be transferred, transmuted, and transformed. A lot of the energy, a lot of what we're feeling in our frequencies is passed down to us epigenetically. So
Mhm.
scientists now are proving through our DNA that we're carrying as much as, well, some say as much as 12 generations of our family's DNA, but
Wow.
most are saying around 5. Now you think about 5 generations. I'm a woman of color, right? 5 generations going back of what my ancestors were going through at that time. My people
It's a
were
lot of pain.
enslaved. That's a lot of
Yeah.
pain. It's a lot of trauma, right? And so you can, with that being now known to us, you inherit frequencies of trauma. And so we don't realize that inheriting the frequencies of trauma, as well as the mindset, as well as the habits, the patterns of behavior, there's so much that is unknown to us on that level, that we need to become aware of and start releasing, so that we can increase our energy and increase our frequency. And as I did that, Farmer Jazz, as I learned how to do that, process those stored emotions, I was able to feel a greater sense of peace and of confidence and joy. So that is why I truly believe that what we're looking for outside of us is really inside of us, but we have not been taught what is standing in the way of it.
Oh wow.
And so that's why I do the work, the soul work that I do, because I think if we increase joy, most of us are certainly deficient of joy. If we have more of it in this world and in our lives, oh my God, it would be a complete game changer for our
Wow.
health.
So a lot of what you said, it was all great. I just liked what you had said about like setting the environment, setting the mind state to produce success, and to set a positive frequency for yourself going out, so that you can go. You got to have joy within yourself to have joy in the world, and that was the message that I pulled from your great share right there. Um, you had talked about vibrational health, and I want to get into that. Can you explain what it is and why it is important for our well-being?
Absolutely. So, vibrational health is something that many people are now coming aware of, but it really comes out of studying quantum physics. We have been taught Newtonian physics, which is a different model, and not that you have to go back to necessarily go back to your science class to understand this. I can make it very simple. Um, every thought you have, and every emotion emits a frequency. And the higher your thoughts, the higher your frequencies. The lower your thoughts, the lower your frequencies, right? So that frequency scale, according to Dr. David Hawkins, who wrote this book called Power versus Force, he created this map of consciousness scale that we use. And the scale goes from 20 up to 1,000. So 20 is like the lowest level of the frequency, and that's shame, right? And the highest is like enlightenment, right? So where I would say the collective are, mainly right now, particularly here in America where I am and where you are, I would say that our collective frequency is probably somewhere around the fear frequency, fear up to pride, and that's around 100. Well, that's at a very unhealthy state, because what happens with fear frequencies lead to anxiety. It increases cortisol, which can be extremely damaging on the body at increased levels, because that increases belly fat and inflammation. And that's why heart disease is the number one killer. And also, fear frequencies are, it many people believe that the reason why fear is a predominant frequency is because people can control you in a fear state. It's hard to control somebody in a joyous state, or in a state of peace, because they chances are you're not going to be able to reach them in those states. So, what we have to learn how to do is use this map of consciousness scale so we can manipulate our own frequencies, as opposed to having them manipulated by the media, or other sources that own that are governing for our frequencies, put it that way. And
That
so,
was a great share.
yeah, and here's the bottom line. Vibrational health is very simple. Do the things that make you feel good naturally, and be around people who add value to your frequency. And I tell people this: live your life by putting your frequency first. So for those people who want to learn more about that, I actually have a YouTube channel called Soul Health with Nurse Blue, where I have curated hundreds of videos to help people learn more about vibrational health from experts from around the world.
Thank you for those shares. Definitely, if you guys get a chance, make sure you go listen to that. Um, so you had previously mentioned you launched a musicology journal called "Freedom is a Frequency." Can you tell us
Yes.
more about that exciting project, and how you went about creating that? And yeah, we just want to hear about that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, freedom is something that I know that every person that I've come across in my life have been in search of in one way or the other, right? When you say that, Farmer Jazz, like freedom is something that we all kind of reaching for and
Mhm.
or want in our lives, and particularly here in America, right? And so, my quest is to really find out what is it, and truly, what is it for me? And so, my soul work has been about how to help the soul achieve freedom. And freedom, as I see it, for the soul is wholeness. The collective has been suffering from brokenness for thousands of years. And freedom, as I have come to learn, is a frequency. And it's actually a frequency called joy. Joy is mentioned in the Bible 430 times in scripture. Joy is an elated state of being that is so necessary for the soul to be whole. And quite frankly, it's an art and a science. And so I wanted to give people a guide to get there, particularly women, because I believe every woman needs it and every woman deserves it, because we all are on planet Earth because we had to come through the womb of a woman. So a woman is here to um, nurture that the joy seeds within us, but every person certainly should have joy. And so in the book, it's 5 steps to help you elevate your energy, your health, your peace, your confidence, your relationships, and your abundance with joy. And I also wanted to make it a musicology journal so I can, refer people to songs, to song selections that can help them get there, and also give them other helpful tips, like certain, as I mentioned, certain scriptures with joy, and the 5 tips that can lead to it. So that I wanted to like the 5 simple steps to lead to it, which are I call it the honor your belly, right? So the 5 steps for people who might be interested in taking this joy walk. It's very simple, Farmer Jazz. Do I have a few minutes to just break it down real quick?
Yeah, you got all the time that you need. I'm trying to
Okay.
hear this.
All right. So here's the bottom line. I wanted to make it simple and easy because it took me nearly 30 years to get all of this. so so I wanted to make it a 5 step process, and it's called the belly, because quite frankly, that's where you will find joy in aligning your belly, right? So let's take the acronym BELLY. So B for belly stands for balance your gut. Okay. It's absolutely important that we understand that the things that we're going to create, it's going to come from the gut area. And learning about the chakras are so important to balancing your joy. So those chakras in the gut that I'm talking about is the base chakra. The base chakra is the identity, knowing who you are and what you stand on and what you stand for. The sacral chakra is so important. That's where your passion lies. Your solar chakra, which is your third chakra, you want to make sure you're in alignment there, because you know that solar chakra is what you're going that's tied to your will. It's about what you're willing to do, and your self-esteem and your self-worth comes out of that. And you want to make sure those are in alignment. And also, in terms of your gut, understand that's where your immune system is, so you want to make sure you take care of that part of you in terms of your immune system. And detoxifying your gut is so important to the joy process, because this process is about releasing that which does not serve you so you can increase your joy, right? And what people don't realize is that our tongues, um life and death is in the power of our tongue. So what we eat, it's either helping you live your best life or it's taking away life from you. What you say, life or death is in the power of the tongue, is either adding to your life or it's taken away from your life. And balancing the gut with releasing foods, chemicals, toxins that are doing harm to the body is important. So I said a lot there, but bottom line is balancing your gut is important for the B. E, you have to eliminate the source of the joy deficiency. So we have to be willing to look at those soul toxins that's standing in our way. And I've talked a lot about that. But, again, the fear, the anger, the guilt, the shame, all of those on the lower vibrational frequency scale, we got to get rid of those. And we can, all right, be willing to do the work there. The L, you got to learn how to listen and respect your body. Our bodies are constantly talking to us and we are ignoring them. And learn how to listen is coming off of the devices and being willing to go inside and meditate and being willing to hear the voice within us. Some of us are trying to numb ourselves against our voices because we don't want to deal with our truth, but our truth has to be dealt with in order for us to become a better version of ourselves. The other L is learn something new. Be willing to learn some things outside of the box. If what's in the box is not working for you, then you got to come out of it. And you
Mm.
have to be willing to trade in. Becoming a better version of yourself means being willing to release the former version of yourself. You can't be new and old at the same time. So elevation is about becoming a new thing. So you got to learn some new things, right? And saying yes to life. Saying yes to life by the choices you make with the people you choose to do life with. You're gonna have to make some choices all the way around. Saying yes to life is who you're choosing to be in terms of your decisions, the emotions you're allowing yourself to experience, and being responsible for how you express those emotions. Saying yes to life is what you're eating or not eating, drinking and not drinking, detoxing, and saying yes to life is saying yes to self-love. We don't really know what that is, but self-love is loving you on a cellular level. And that is what soul health is all about. So, and if we truly learn how to master the belly acronym in the way that I just expressed it, you can't not help but become the best version of yourself. And joy is your portion.
Oh,
Okay, so
wow, that's really. I'm looking forward to. I want to grab a copy of that. I'm definitely gonna get a copy of that. But before we get into where we can get the book, could you tell us how you envision freedom as a frequency engaging with the community, and are there plans for events, workshops, collaborations that listeners can look out for?
ooh, well, yes, it's all of it. I believe that now, particularly here in America, we have a upcoming election, and I am as independent as as one could possibly be.
I feel you on
But
that one.
yes, um, but one thing I can simply say is I am voting for high frequency because that's
Mm,
the way to go. We were built on low frequencies, and we have to be willing to become. I love America. I say America is my client, right? Irrespective of our complex history and all of that, I am choosing to love America back to health. And so freedom is a frequency, is something that in my role as a nurse and as a lifer, because I am a lifer, someone who loves life, because I love people, I love this planet, and I really want us to win. And hey,
yes.
I'm here to quite frankly help us to create heaven on earth because I refuse to live in hell, right? So this is a movement and it is about introducing. I believe blue is the vibrational color that we need to lean into. And I'm not saying that from a political standpoint, I'm saying that from a vibrational standpoint, because when we build each other and love each other and unite with each other and empower each other, you can't lose. You cannot lose. And that's what's missing. We're judging, we're fighting, we're destroying, and we are experiencing long term chronic soul toxins like fear for generations, anger for generations, shame and guilt and pride for generations. And that is why our collective is so sick. So we have to be willing to become better Americans in order to birth a better America. And that's everybody taking the personal responsibility to decide how we want to address our own individual symptoms that we are experiencing in our soul, and be willing to do the work to heal ourselves, right? So, for people who are really down with that and who are connecting with this message, go to soulhealthcommunity.com. And Soul Health Community is where you can find Freedom is a Frequency book. And join me on Clubhouse. Come to the parties. I am over at I'm over at the Soul Health and Wellness Club, so people can find me there. And I'm going to actually start doing a lot more teaching around spiritual growth, vibrational health, and Freedom is a Frequency. I'm actually having a campaign party.
Nice.
Yeah, not raising money. The campaign is to raise your energy, because that's your currency, right?
Hey,
Raise your
everybody got some of
energy.
that.
Yes, absolutely. Raise your energy, because that really is your currency. And as we raise our energy, we make better choices. And then you'll know who you want to vote for. You're not voting according to color. You're not voting according to gender. You're not voting according to the agenda is to vote for you. And with you voting for a high vibrational frequency for you, then you will align with a candidate that is in alignment with that. So for people who want to be on this new page of learning what this all about, soul health community.com is where you can get more information. I'm going to start doing some I Deserve Joy parties, and really teaching truly from a nursing perspective how to heal, or balance your chakra centers, and about the endocannabinoid system. If you're not being taught information like that now, you're at a disadvantage. And so I'm stepping into my role to be of service along those lines.
We like that.
Yes.
Solutions. We got to know where we can go to the solution. So if y'all are listening, Nurse Blue is the place to go for some of these solutions we got out here. And with your project, where can viewers and listeners go to find this journal?
Okay, so you can actually go to, well, two things. You can actually go to soulhealthcommunity.com, and you can't miss it, because as soon as you go to soulhealthcommunity.com, you'll see a tab there for Freedom is a Frequency, or you can find it on Amazon. Go to go to Amazon.com and order your copy today. And it's actually 50% off now in July. It will be there 50% off for a limited time, because I want as many people to get the journal, because I'm going to start teaching from the journal. So, whether people want to, participate in a party experience with the journal, because my classes are parties.
Nice. Nice. Good
um,
vibes. Good
yeah,
vibes.
yes, yes. So whether you want to, participate in a class or not, it's up to you, but you could definitely go to Amazon.com and then join us in the Soul Health and Wellness Club on Clubhouse. I'm also in the Women in Business House on Clubhouse, and then the Nurses House on Clubhouse is not the one with my picture, but it's another one with a blue logo, the Nurses House. Join those houses, and I'm going to have programming there starting in the fall.
Nice. Nice. Thank you for that share. We talked about a lot of good things. The project, musicology, high vibrational things going on. But sometimes we have a lot of challenges and there's misconceptions. And I want to hear about some of the challenges you face integrating um, musicology, holistic practices with traditional healthcare. And are there any misconceptions that you would like to clear up?
You know, um, that's a great question. I think that what people have to understand is that your health is really in your hands, right? And that one of the biggest misconceptions, um, that I had to come to grips with is that, we put um, so much emphasis on the doctor having all the answers, and that's not the case. There are new discoveries happening all the time, and I want for people to understand that because your health is in your hands, then if you if your gut is telling you that whatever you've been diagnosed with, or if you're having a health challenge and you're trying to find some other modalities out here beyond taking a prescription, that there's a lot of great new information that could be helpful to you. This is the best time to dive right in. And musicology is something that I'm excited about because a lot of the stress that people are feeling in the world right now, I mean, that's a simple way for you to just kind of give yourself relief that you don't have to pay for oftentimes, unless you know um want to go to a concert or something. But it's simple, it's easy, it's free. But taking a nice walk, going outside, just being in nature, you will be amazed at how many medicinals are around us all the time. Plant medicine, as we know,
Mm,
um, that are here to bring the body back into balance. And what we have to realize is we have to know when our body is out of balance, and we have to know what we can do to bring the body back into balance. And one of the biggest misconceptions out here is that everything has to come in a pill form, and that's not the case. Medication short term might be helpful. Medication long term could be extremely painful for you. You know, so I really want people to understand that as you get older, you don't have to be sick. If you're currently sick, there's a lot of things out there that might be able to reverse what you're currently going through, but be willing to understand who you are from a spiritual space, not a human body. I mean, we're multidimensional. So appreciate the human body. I'm not saying don't know about it. Of course, know about it. But the answer that most people are looking for, and this is the biggest misconception, the answer is not in the body, it's in the soul.
mm,
You are a spiritual being. Become highly interested in the world of spirituality now. This is the time we're living in. And understand that that world of spirituality is vast, that many people have been taught not to go near it for nefarious purposes, you know. But the world that I once knew of, from being programmed to believe um, that I was not enough, or the programming taught me that this world of spirituality was something for me to stay away from, or plant medicine is not a real thing. I just want you to understand that now is the time to start opening yourselves up to other discoveries. And
yes.
soul health, yeah, and learning that your soul needs for you to do that, for it to stay
Oh man,
alive.
that's great. As you were speaking, one of the things that I do before the podcast, I play some music right now. I've been listening to a lot of Afro beats, Thames, and a lot of UK music. It's just
Mm,
up a lot of high vibrational music. And
yes.
another thing that I used to do a lot on social media is like post dance videos, because that, like you were talking about, putting yourself in an environment where like you feel free. I call it in my zone, because
Yes.
I got my headphones on. I'm outside. I got the sun. I got the sun going. I probably ate a good meal before that. I'm just thinking of good things, and there's nothing better than being by myself in a secluded area outside, or even in a parking lot or in a in the woods. It doesn't matter
Yes.
where I'm in, as long as I got my tunes, I got my beat, I got health, I can move my body. It's just like a release
Yes.
of just like energy, just and I call it in my zone. So that's what I was thinking about while you were sharing that. It's just like my in my zone. I always got to get myself in my zone, whether it was like when I used to play sports. I used to sit before like with all my equipment lined up. I played football, whether it was football or track. I'm just sitting there, just thinking about winning and how it's gonna feel to win, and what that feeling's like, and just taking that in, listening to the music, getting my spirit up, and
Yes.
just just like just this whole conversation, just I've been thinking about how I've used music to just like boost my spirit in different situations, even dark times. A lot of people talk about drinking, like you go through a heartbreak, you throw on some drinks, some
Right.
R&B to remember what it felt like to be in love sometimes, and you sometimes you get stuck there listening to the wrong music and it's on repeat. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta go into some other music and find that vibrational frequency that
There
you
you
once were in,
go.
and realize that it's still there. Maybe it was just the wrong person. So don't get stuck in that trance for too long. Mix up the music every once in a while.
Yes, I tell people music is here to save us. It is
Yes, it
here
is.
to save us. So yeah, I mean, there's no party without good music. Um, a wedding without good music. I mean,
Even an
church.
office space,
Yes,
like when you even in the waiting room, there's music there so that you're not just sitting there bored, and you got
yes,
some background music just to keep your spirit up a little bit. Like you could be going in there and get your tooth pulled or something. They got some some
mu-
classical music going on before
music.
you go in there and
It's
get a needle or
yes.
something to calm your anxiety.
It's a necessity in this life, and it decorates every environment that it's in. That's why I love it so much. So, I thank you so much, Farmer Jazz, for the times you have stepped into my clubhouse rooms and been a part of the experience. And
Yeah, I definitely enjoy them.
thank you. And it's a new thing. I'm pioneering something here. And so I appreciate when it's embraced, but my intentions is just to show people the power that is within them and to give them permission to tap into the treasures that's within them and release the stuff that does not that you don't need. And you release it by learning from it and letting it go, and then allowing it to take you to the next level. That's what it's really all about. So,
Definitely. And
mhm.
one of the things that always attracted me to your rooms was just the fact that you were doing something totally different from what everybody else was doing. And you just had this high energy about you. There could be three people in the room and your energy was always on 5,000.
Thank
Like,
thank
and
you.
that's a contagious thing. Like no matter how like your day's going, you could be having a bad day and you see Nurse Blue pop into a room, because I guarantee you'll be a little uplifted after leaving her room, and you'll definitely be inspired and given a lot of wisdom and education. And that's what I want to get into here. Every single time I do an interview, I always wrap up with the seed of inspiration. I see a seed as a people call it gems. I call it a seed because a gem is solid. It's in its final form. A seed, it's in the beginning stages. It goes through the germination process, and then it goes through a vegetation process. Then it becomes a flower. Then it becomes a seed again, and then you pass it on to someone else through like pollination. So I would love for you to share a word of wisdom to the viewers and listeners that you have on your mind.
Mm. Thank you first of all, Farmer Jazz, for allowing me to be here, and the intention of this seed that I'm going to share. I want it to truly take root within the souls of everyone who would allow themselves to open up to it, because I think it is so powerful for us to build on at this time in our history. And I've actually said it before, but I want to say it with this kind of intention. My seed that I want to deposit is to ask everyone to lean into the blue in yourself. Okay. And the blue is whenever your soul is needing to elevate, this is how you get there. You want to build yourself up with your words, affirm all good things. I am powerful. I am resilient. I am worthy. I am beautiful. Always build yourself with your words. Love. You were created out of love. You come from love. So when we get hit by life, your job is to elevate back to your original frequency of 852 hertz love. So whether it's with music or doing gratitude journal or learning how to self-soothe in a healthy way, love yourself back to health. Unite. Whatever's broken is waiting for you to help it become whole. Invest in your wholeness. Invest in your wholeness right now. That is how you win. And E, after you empower yourself, use your words to empower others. Choose empowerment over judgment. Your empowerment brings out the best in people. Your judgment brings out the worst. Okay. And that is what I want to share. Become bluer every day, a little bit more blue every day. And that is how we win here on planet Earth.
Wow, thank you for that. I told you guys that Nurse Blue was a vibe, man. I know you guys heard it in this interview. And I thank you for coming through and giving your shares and then sharing your story. And it's been so inspiring for me. I definitely enjoy your spaces on Clubhouse. I'm glad that you got a chance to come on my podcast and give your share. And I've been able to use this podcast to share your voice and share your story because I think a lot of people need to hear it. Before
Thank
we
you.
go, I would definitely like you to give any drops. Let us know what your Instagram handles are, your social media platforms, where people can find you and hear more of this high frequency energy.
Thank you. Well, if you guys want to check me out, go to soulhealthcommunity.com. That's my link tree. And that's all things Nurse Blue. So if you're on Instagram, I am Nurse Blue. You can find me there. On Facebook, I am Nurse Blue. You can also find me on YouTube. You can find me Soul Health with Nurse Blue on YouTube. Of course, Clubhouse is where you're going to see me, or where you're going to feel the vibrations of the club experience. So go on Clubhouse, guys, and become a member of all the houses I'm a part of, right? Which is, I think I have 4 houses on Clubhouse, but it's the Soul Health and Wellness Club. I have my parties there. The self love parties on Wednesdays take place at 11 a.m. And if I'm not doing a live party, because maybe I have a client or I'm not available, usually I'm there every Wednesday, but every now and then, like this month, I've been really busy. You could just go in and I have plenty of replays. So go and check out the replay experience. You go up to the top of the page and hit the 3 buttons and the replays you'll see. The Women in Business House on Tuesdays, I Deserve Joy Party. And then, of course, the Nurses House, which is where I'll be teaching more. And so, once you go to that soulhealthcommunity.com, everything is there. They can find me.
All right, make sure y'all go and get her journal too, so y'all can stay up on y'all frequencies. Once
Oh,
again, this is
yes. Thank you. Yes, I forgot to say that. Yeah, pick up your copy
yeah, y'all got to
today.
make sure y'all go get y'all copy because I know I'm about to get one after this. I'm about to go
Thank
get mine,
you.
especially while it's 50% off. Gotta support. Um, but yeah, thank you again so much for coming through and giving your share, being a part of this. But this has been Cultivating Conversations with Farmer Jazz and Nurse Blue. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.
Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.